welcome for another day of FTMIG Live on the Midas Letter Network. Like always, Karl beside me, Greg beside me. You guys switched positions. Last time it was the other way around. We're switching things up.
Different angles.
Yeah. See which way it looks best. For today's show, we're going back to our grassroots. We are going to be talking and going through, if you're watching us on the Midas Letter YouTube or on our FTMIG Facebook page, we're going to be turning to you. We're going to be asking questions. It's our last show of the year, so we're going to be doing a recap of what's gone on over the last little while. And we've got Peter Horvath, CEO of Green Growth Brands, GGB. Really excited about that company. We're going to have a really good interview coming up with him, probably around 1:20 or so. And we are going to just be talking markets.
Sounds good to me.
I like it.
Going back to our grassroots, gents. We're just talking. Some trolling as well.
16th?
This is, I think, the 16th week. So for everyone who's been watching it for 16 weeks, good on you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I hope you've learned a couple of things so that your portfolios, they're not going to be good. I'm not going to lie. They probably won't be good. No one's is.
Hey, you could have made some good moves there. Come on now.
What you need to do now is preserve capital, make smart moves. Learn from it. I think we were talking about it earlier, actually. Learn from your mistakes. This is when we should be talking. Karl, you've made mistakes in your life. How are you learning from them in your portfolio?
You got it. Well, if you're committed, right? If you're just someone who's kind of gambling, looking at the markets as, you know, a gamble, then you're probably not going to stay in it, right? But the people that are serious about, you know, putting money to work, especially in the junior space, it's very volatile. There's a lot of lessons to be learned. I mean, you know, I was sort of reflecting on the on how I got into the cannabis space and, you know, what the biggest risks were, right? Because I got involved in some companies that were very high risk in the cannabis space, but I knew that the hype was there. But one thing that I thought, looking out maybe 2 to 3 years, was, are we close to the end of the bull cycle? That was something I always talked with my close friends.
It's scary because it could be, you know, like.
Yeah, it could be.
A lot of indicators, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, you know, I think that this year has been kind of poo.
Yeah,
for a lot of people, it's been about
hard.
You know, traders have done very well, but it's been one of those years where if you sort of were contrarian and you were, you know, pulling out of the markets earlier in the year and just sat and I'm going to see how this plays out, took some profits, you're probably laughing. Yeah. Right. And if you've been more optimistic, well, hopefully you're into some of the solid plays because you know, things will pop back up, right? But yes, there's going to be some losers, and right now you're seeing the underperformers getting nailed to the tax loss situation.
Yep.
That's what we're seeing. And another thing to add is, like, typically now would be a good time, not advice, to go bargain hunting for companies that you really like or for the ones that are strong, right? But there's a fear of a real solid recession. Some people say we're already in one. Some people are talking about rate hikes in next year or 2020, right? So, you know, one thing's for sure, there seems to be a rather extreme fear of a recession, of something serious.
And I don't get that fear. I don't understand it because, and I'm glad you brought it up because right now a lot of people are talking about in the United States, I think it's on Thursday, so tomorrow the Fed's going to decide whether they're going to raise rates again or not. Yeah. And it's widely believed that they're going to raise rates, but then turn a little bit dovish into 2019, meaning that they're going to be a lot more reluctant to raise rates in the early parts of 2019. But you have to understand, it's a business cycle. This is what happens. And a lot of people who are investing on social media, I think they're new to investing, that they don't know about a business cycle, they haven't been through that before, and it's so important that you understand it's okay to go into a recession. We're purposely raising rates right now because our federal banks and our people who run our countries are seeing that inflation's getting out of hand. The constant rising of prices. And you raise rates because you want to put a cool on GDP growth, on productivity in your country. That's normal business. That always happens. What you want to try to go through is a nice soft landing where it's not a depression. That's what you don't want. If we're in a depression, that's when it's actually something that's relatively bad. Recession, not so much.
Time out.
We need a timeout here.
Go on.
So I think we just need to let everybody know that Brandon was enjoying the festivities last night of the Midas Letter Christmas event, and so he was having a great time. Yeah. So the Fed decision is today, my friend.
Is it already today?
It's not already, but it's today.
Yeah.
I thought it was Thursday.
Yeah. So have some water.
Yeah. Well, we went out and as a group, as Midas Letter, and everyone was here. We had festivities. There was maybe 1 or 2 drinks or a multiple of those numbers, and it was a good time. It was a lot of fun. But no, it's important to be looking out for that because that's obviously what's really been affecting markets right now. And I think there's going to be no difference in the beginning of next year. This is a normal business cycle playing its route. Don't be scared. Like you were saying, though, pulling it back to what you led off with, this is when you should be looking into companies. This is when you should be learning. This is when you should grow. So when it comes to the next rush, you're ready.
Yeah. People that are serious about it. Again, not advice. But just got to make sure.
Yeah.
People, this is not advice, but usually a couple of friends of mine talk about this, and I agree. Usually when there's an extreme sentiment one way or other, whether it's, this thing's going to the moon, or it's, damn, this thing's going to crash and burn, when the extreme sets in, that's usually when you want to either get out or you want to start getting back in. And we could be very close or at that point where the extreme sentiment is recession. I mean, you got people quoting, what's his name? The old,
Warren Buffett.
No.
Alan Greenspan?
Greenspan. I mean, the guy, come on, I'm pretty sure he launched QE or dropped rates down to where they are. Now he's coming out and saying, oh, it didn't fucking work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why are we quoting this guy, right? But there's an extreme sentiment right now. So I'm looking at some things, and I'm not quite ready to risk my capital, but it's more because on a personal side, I actually have some real estate transactions closing, and I need that capital, right? Yeah. So I can't risk it per se unless I'm absolutely sure on something, which it's just hard to be that positive right now.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we were talking earlier about certain stocks, and you tell people you look at this company and stuff like that, and see what their share price is at, and it's it can't go much lower than that, and it's well,
doing the falling knife thing.
Yeah,
I've done it.
Right?
I mean, it happens, man. Especially when you really, really are bullish on a company for whatever the reasons are, and it's coming down. You're like, oh my god, It's okay to have that feeling well, if I liked it, say, just as an example, if I liked it at 3. And now it's at 2. Well, I want more, right?
Yeah.
Fine. If you want to go cherry picking at that price, go for it, right? But 2 weeks later, it could be lower, right? So sometimes it's just good to not fight the market, and I've had to learn that firsthand.
Yeah.
I literally have had to learn that.
It's when does FOMO really set in that you want to get right back in, and it's just okay, well, sometimes that when I decide, it's it just screws me over even more.
I have an idea.
It's a learning curve, right?
Yeah.
It's a learning curve.
But I have gotten better with that, right?
You've done fantastic. When I first met Greg, you were invested in a couple oil plays that you didn't really even know. We were talking about cannabis. You're like, wait, you can buy cannabis stocks on the stock market? This is a year ago.
How do you even do that?
And the progression that you've made in that year, though, is actually remarkable because you didn't. The prices went down almost immediately. But you didn't panic sell. You actually said, you know what? No, I need to figure this out. I need to learn more about this. And hell, if I'm about to buy or sell something now, I could call up Greg. Hey Greg, should I buy or sell? Because you come so far, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who are watching this. I think they're somewhat newer to investing. They're tuning into the show to see ourselves talk to these companies, see the companies come on, talk to James, Ed, Ben. You've got Meisner, Steve. These are all really good minds who you can learn from and go back and forth. So I do hope people are learning throughout this year, and will continue to in the new year as we unroll or unveil a lot of different things coming up in 2019.
I have an idea.
Ooh.
Why don't we go see live what the sentiment is in all of these different Facebook groups and Twitter land, and give people a shout out.
Yeah, we'll start going right now. I'm reaching out to people here. Not all bad news this week. Travis saying GLH not pursuing TerraTech. Thank God.
They're not, eh?
Can
They're
we,
not.
hold on, can we get this up on the screen? And why don't you give these groups that we're looking at?
This is actually straight from the Midas Letter YouTube, actually.
Gotcha.
Going straight from there, and I agree. I heard the news on TerraTech and
The turkey.
the turkey, as Alan Broxton calls it. I never fully understood the deal in itself to begin with.
Yeah.
Because I really do like Golden Leaf Holdings. I always forget something Simpson. William Simpson, the CEO. He was the CEO of Chalice Farms beforehand. I like what they were doing there. And when they came out with that news that there's potential fraud for TerraTech, that's alleged, of course, they've backed away from that deal. They said they're not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
TerraTech was going to be buying out Golden Leaf Holdings. Which, by the way, before we go to the Facebook groups, brings up a really important point. Speaking of buyouts, that was a pretty big buyout today. Alethea buying Emblem. I did not see that coming.
I mean, smaller LPs are still making a move to make their position in this space, I guess, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's at a very big discount, but I mean, even still, like, to make a purchase like that now, like, there's got to be good sentiment about the sector and everything like that. And I mean, what was it? All shares
Matter?
Yeah. All share purchase.
Well, there's
Yeah.
been rumors about them in buyouts for a long time. So
Yeah,
I'm not like, oh, Emblem got bought out. I'm not.
But
really
I had no idea it was Alethea. I had no clue for that. I thought it was going to be someone different. But I think that's a great thing for that company. You know, I've
one?
really for Alethea especially, but also for Emblem, because they've been down their trials, and and people were not paying attention to their stock anymore. I do think it's led by a great guy. I think they've got a lot of, they've got the licenses. They've got a lot of core framework there. They just couldn't seem to push it forward. Teaming up with Alethea, having new people come to the board, I think that will be good for both companies. I really do. And if you're still a shareholder, you're up 12% today.
12. That's probably the most I've seen it move in a day.
Yeah, seriously.
And all it had to do was be bought out.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Chris here. As a new investor 2 years ago, the more you know, the less you panic when the price goes down. If you know nothing, of course, it's scary when stocks go down.
100%.
I could not agree more with you.
If you believe
Chris,
in the company
absolutely.
and you know they're not like a bad company and they're doing the right things, like, what does it matter if the SP goes down?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's going to happen once in a while. Not everything can just go up, So
It'll never.
Let's go look at some different groups. Pull up on the NDI.
I won't pull up just yet on the NDI because I need to go into the different groups and find them. But on that note, as I'm searching now, it's funny because that saved you from panic selling in the summer when you first started.
Well, that and just you telling me not to.
Well, don't listen to me all the time.
Yeah.
But apparently this works.
Don't do it. Yeah.
But it's true, I really like that line Chris said, because if you know what's going on, you don't panic sell. So if you do sell, you sold because you felt it was the right decision.
Yeah.
Something came out that was a big change.
Yeah.
Something came up that was material that changed. If something material changes, like a CEO gets fired or passes away, we've seen a few of those. That's when you can look at a company and make, do I still want to be in here? I really like that person, whatever it be. But if nothing's changed, it's just sentiment. You have to really ask yourself: Are you selling because you're panicking, or are you selling because you're making a methodical, well thought out decision?
Yeah.
So, Chris, I agree with you 100% there. But turning to different groups here, before we head over to Peter Horvath, which you should definitely be paying attention to, because there's an interesting conversation on the retail space and how he's going to pull that in. For the most part, I think investors are almost in this limbo. I think that's what I found so far looking at other groups, is that they're waiting for something to happen. Mm-hmm. It's so close to Christmas. They want to find out, is this the next run? Do I go in? I think there's a lot of education. So I'm looking through now, and a lot of these comments are, for the most part, just posting news releases. Have you found something different yourself while surfing the web?
About what?
Sentiment in these different groups.
Oh no! Well, I think we're going to go through it live after. We'll just go through it, because I've seen all sorts of stuff that we should probably look at and discuss.
So what we'll do then, we've got a few minutes before we're going to pass this over, to myself again, but to Peter Horvath for Green Growth Brands. We're going to be scouring social media for your posts, for your tweets, for your Facebook, for all these different elements and start talking about here. Oh, here we go. What do y'all think of Green Thumb Industries? Love that. They were just awarded a bunch of new licenses and seem to be pulling ahead of the competition. We saw them actually present at the conference, the Canaccord conference a few weeks ago.
Yeah, the symposium conference.
Yeah. What did you think of them?
Well, I mean, I believe in them. Even when we were there, we were even talking about how much confidence he had in his own company that he has, but not just that, just the background that he has, what he comes from, everything like that, the money that they have, they just don't fail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The Peter Horvath himself, his management team, they know how to build a brand. They know how to build a company. From Victoria's Secret to American Eagle, Body and Bath and Body Works, DSW shoes, the list goes on, right? So that's one of the things that I look at is, you look at a company and who's behind them. What have they done in the past? It's not just some guy that was a mining guy and wanted to buy a shell and try to do this and that. It's a legitimate business. It's something huge.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to be looking into more for Green Growth Brands. What I was asking though is Green Thumb Industries.
Oh,
I know.
We were talking about
I didn't stop you because I liked what you were saying. It really did go
Apparently
well.
he was at the party.
I was at the party yesterday.
So this other guy's probably thinking, y'all talk about the wrong company. Green Thumb Industries,
GTII.
GTII.
My fault.
They blasted out of nowhere. I know they've been building their company for a long time, but stock-wise, they're coming on the market. What's their market cap? I follow them in my U.S.
I guess they're putting a run to Ianthus and those kind of companies doing the same type of thing. It's all about getting the amount of dispensaries opened and ready to go, getting the most amount of revenue and everything like that too. So.
Yeah, they currently sit at a 515 million market cap, but they're a newer company. I don't know how much of that is locked up right now. That can change that quite drastically, because obviously if you've got half your float locked up still, then it won't show up on the market caps when it comes to going on quote stream. So I don't have that information in front of me, how many shares are locked up. But no, I like seeing these larger cannabis companies. I believe GTII, I believe it's the third or fourth most revenue last quarter of all the American players.
Yeah.
They were right up there.
I remember when they first opened, what was it, 30,000% up?
Yeah, it was a good day for people who bought that shell or went into that beforehand.
Right,
But no, it's an interesting, really interesting company. But switching gears, we are going to switch over to the Peter Horvath interview. I had a chance to sit down with him and talk about the company you had alluded to just before that, Green Growth Brands. And we were talking about the strategy that he wants to bring and will bring to that company, given his retail background, opposed to what we're seeing for a lot of these companies. They just have cannabis background or mining background because they saw an opportunity. This is a retail-focused person who's been doing it for years. Let's see what he had to say. So we're joined here today with Peter Horvath, CEO of Green Growth Brands. Thank you for coming all the way to studio today. I appreciate your time.
Glad to be here. Excited.
Absolutely. Now, for all of our investors, you guys have a very detailed investor deck you can find at greengrowthbrands.com. So we're going to skip the whole part of going over an overview, because I think that does itself a very nice overview. Instead, jump into certain developments that have recently and really go over who do you see Green Growth Brands being, and how are you going to be a competitor in what's turning up to be now a pretty fierce American market?
Well, I think it's worth saying, we're not seeing ourselves as a cannabis company. We're seeing ourselves as retailers. We think the opportunity is, it's not about cannabis brands, it's not about cannabis consumers, it's about brands and consumers. Yeah. And that's where our expertise is. We're leaning into what we know, and that does differentiate us from everybody else. But yeah, we're excited to get going here,
Yeah, and speaking on that retail experience, obviously, as you started learning about your company yourself a little bit more, you had Bed and Body Works, you've got American Eagle, you've got Victoria's Secret. So you and your team have a lot of retail experience. How do you think that translates into the cannabis space, and how does that give you an advantage having that background?
Huge advantage, because we've competed for consumers in mature and crowded markets. And I think that when I look at the people we're competing with, it's foreign to them. I think they're experts at raising capital, which they do exceptionally well, getting licenses, financial transactions. They're great at that. And I think some folks are getting real strength at creating product and getting product. But product is only part of the recipe. If you think of it as an ingredient to the recipe, you have to be a great cook. It's not just, you have to have all the ingredients and then you have to actually make them come alive. And that's where, you know, if I was just a retailer, somebody who was in retail, as opposed to somebody who's been at the most successful retail companies out there, then I'd be someone who can cook. But actually, I'd say we're chefs. Yeah. We actually know how to make amazing food. I'm taking that metaphor way too far. Yeah.
But no, it's important though, because as people are starting to look into what is now becoming a mature cannabis space, stock-wise, not the industry-wise, it's just starting.
Right.
But as you got all these different Canadian companies, American companies, it's amazing how many people are still out there trying, like newer entrants trying to say that you're going to be the biggest producer, or you're going to be the biggest extractor. You're going to. I'm not looking for that person as an investor anymore. What I'm looking for is how does a company differentiate itself from others, and the biggest thing, how are you going to sell a brand and sell product?
Yep.
Because if you have 5 stores compared to, I can imagine American Eagle and all them, they've got hundreds and hundreds of stores across.
1,000 stores across the planet.
1,000.
Multinational, yeah.
So when you're looking at that, that's when you're starting to, I'm looking at a company like this where it's like, oh, you've done this for these other companies. Now when you come into the cannabis space, it's not going to be 1 store, it's not going to be 5 stores. Or I can imagine you're looking to open a few more than that.
We think we're imagining, and if we look, it's going to be a lot of stores very quickly like everybody else. There's a lot of folks opening stores quickly, but what we're interested in is 100 amazing stores. It's like I'd rather try to deliver a great customer experience in 100 $20 million stores than 1,000 $2 million stores. You can imagine how difficult it is to manage teams of people across 1,000 stores. And we've actually done that at a high level of quality, but boy, it's a big headache. You know? Yeah,
and I'm actually a little concerned, I'll be honest, about a lot of different companies out there, because as you're growing, it's now not can you grow cannabis, or do you have a good product, which is obviously very important.
It is.
But from a company standpoint, how are you going to start managing where a lot of these people were minors, if you look at some of the Canadian companies, or they've grown 10 plants or 50, now they're trying to do it larger. How are you going to scale? It's really important. But going on in your store, actually, because coming straight from your investor presentation, you guys are talking about always in-stock assortment and superior in-store experience. Can you explain a little bit more on that and how you're going to have your stores be those 100 amazing stores?
So here's the trick. This is what all the non-retailers in the industry, which is most of the industry, should listen to and figure out how to do this. I'm now giving the secret out. Yeah. So there's something called an assortment architecture. So what is the assortment that you put in your store? That's what things do you have in your store. There's actually a commercial logic to that assortment. We call it an architecture. Why do you do that? Well, number one, an assortment that has a clear architecture is easy for consumers to navigate. So if you were to, you don't do cosmetics, but if you were to walk into a MAC cosmetics store, the packaging looks like it was designed by the same person who designed the store. Everything goes together. An Apple store, everybody's been in an Apple store. It's a big rectangle that's really clean looking, just like all the products. That's simple, right? So making an assortment easy to navigate is super important for the customer. It's super important for training your people. If you have an assortment that has some change, always has to have constant newness. But if all of it is always changing and there's all these choices, impossible for a consumer to follow, impossible for your team to be able to support. Then you start extending that to how easy is it to be in stock when you have 100 things to keep in stock versus 20.
Yeah.
Very difficult. And then you think about how easy is it to develop sourcing relationships, whether you're the grower or somebody else is, to support 100 different things versus 20 different things. So I think what you see is there's a thoughtfulness to how you architect your assortment that makes it a good experience for the consumer, makes it easy to support that consumer with high engagement with your associates because they can be trained. It's not overly complicated, makes it easy to be in stock, and makes it easy to develop your supply chain relationships. I'm not seeing that thinking in any of the experiences out there right now. To me, it looks like they're launching stores based on what they think stores should do. It's like, well, you should have an assortment. I have some guy design fixtures and lay it out. We'll hire some people. I'll get some people from J. Crew or somewhere to run the store. It's not that simple. Everything has to be tied together. And that's something we know, and I can tell everybody how to do it, and they couldn't do it. Because you have to have done this for decades in order to be able to do it in a predictable and sustainable way.
Yeah, and that's actually why, like for myself, I see you guys having a competitive advantage, and why I'm a shareholder of GGB, because I'm looking even at the Canadian landscape where all of our stores are coming out and everyone's out of stock. And if you're coming out and you're coming from an illegal, illicit market, and you're going into these legal states or legal provinces, whatever it be, it's so important to have a product in stock, because if all of a sudden you loved a product and the next time you don't go there and the next time it's changed, you're like, well, no, I'm going to go back to my dealer. I'm going to go back, and that's going to be a real thing we have to focus on for the next couple of years.
That's right.
So I was looking at this, and I was looking at your, what you guys are looking to achieve, and that actually brought me a little bit towards you guys, because it was that strategic advantage, it was that difference, it was that experiences, like you said, I haven't quite really seen in a lot of these other brands, and I'm concerned about them, because it's such an important thing for consumers coming into a new market. But speaking of markets, Nevada. Recently, you've had a couple developments there.
Yes.
One of which you had, I believe, 7 licenses there, along with 2 other companies, and several companies actually people thought were going to get licenses did not. How are you able to achieve 7 compared to the others who were not able to achieve any?
Well, I wish I absolutely knew, but what I'm told and what I believe is the scoring criteria leans heavily on resumes. So they want to know. I mean, if you think about states, what are they supposed to do? What's their fiduciary responsibility? Well, it's to collect the most taxes possible in a very compliant way, right? So what they're looking for is expertise. Who can execute? So the resumes play a big role in who can execute. They want to know that you can operate a business that's financially stable, get it open quickly, and then start generating taxes for them quickly. So you need to have a balance sheet that's significant. You know, that's a big factor. And then the last one is another way to prove that is how much tax have you paid in this state? Because obviously this is all about them raising taxes. So looking for you know, do they believe you can open the store? Do they believe you can operate it? And do they believe that you can have a very successful business so you generate a lot of taxes? And with our ownership group, I believe in the application we showed $155 million of taxes paid in Nevada over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think one other group, Essence, had a very high number similar to that. And it's no surprise that they got 8 licenses and we got 7.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, it's going back to tying into the expertise you guys have had in the retail space over the last numerous years.
Right.
Now, when it comes to, again, sticking with Nevada just for a moment, you just recently also announced that you acquired your second grow facility there.
Yes.
That was for about $17 million, and you had allocated, I believe, $68 million for acquisitions in Nevada. That's leaving around $51 million still left to go. Do you already have things eyed out, or are you still feeling things out for the next grow up?
We have to continue to expand the grow facilities. We'll probably move our processing facility. That won't take much money. Each store, you have to just, you know, we haven't spec'd out the store designs and build outs and locations, but each store is going to take $1 million, $1.5 million of cash to get up and running. But look, these stores ought to be generating, you know, depending on the revenue, to, you know, $2 to $7 million of cash every year. So it's going to be a very fast payback. So I think in Nevada, I think we can get a $150 to $200 million business and self-fund it now with this engine. We weren't expecting 7 licenses. We were hoping, but we were expecting 3.
Okay.
And in our investor presentation, you know, I think we might have only 2 in the pro forma. So this is a good thing. I think what it means is we can self-fund Nevada. Yeah. Now, what that means is we can enter other states with some of these funds, and also it's a good idea to keep money on the balance sheet. Yeah. You know, and that's what we plan to do.
Yeah.
We're going to keep looking at. We're grow in other states as well.
Absolutely. And what is your current grow capacity now? And a double-edged question, actually, or a double two-part question. What's your current grow capacity now? And are you looking also to get supply deals as well, just to make sure it flows into the stores?
Well, I'm not going to have all the numbers, but the current facility, which is about 30,000 feet, but I used to know this number, I don't remember it anymore. It might be 12,000 feet of canopy. It does like 350 pounds, which is probably 150 pounds more than people would expect per month.
Okay.
Per month. So it's actually very productive. We're hoping that we can transport that to the bigger footprint in the other facility. We should be able to. Only about 30% of it goes to the 2 source stores in Nevada, one which we own, the other which we will own soon.
Yeah.
And the other 70% is wholesaled, and it's a good business. I think we're going to look at, with this big footprint in Nevada, we're going to look at should we be 50% internally sourced. Obviously, the margin would be extraordinary on that 50%. But maybe why not 100? Well, I'd say why not 100 is I want some diversification of supply chain. Plus, people, you've heard of brand cannabiotics, people love specialty brands, and we're not always going to be able to be the guys that have that brand.
Yeah.
It's okay to bring other brands in, because we're in the business of making consumers happy.
Yeah.
Because that will lead to other good things.
Yeah, absolutely. And why don't we switch over to brands then? Because there's a couple of things. You guys have launched several brands. I believe Camp was one of them. There's a few others as well. What do you look to achieve with these brands? Are you going after specific demographics for each brand? I believe you have an all-women's brand as well.
Yeah, it's really a state of mind.
Yeah.
If you think about it, we're all consumers, we're all experts at being consumers. And if you're bored and you feel like shopping, you're just walking down the street and you walk into this store or that store, you're really aspiring to the state of mind that they present. And I think Camp is going to be dual gender. It's outdoor oriented, which pretty easy to translate in most locations. Yeah. And it's about escape. It's kind of a metaphor for what the plant can do for you, which is let your cell phone die, make your thoughts about the past and the future disappear, and just find yourself kind of focusing on the glowing faces around the campfire, the sparks that draw your eyes up to the stars, and kind of the recognition that, damn, those stars are there every night, and I never bother to look up. And I think, I'm not an expert cannabis user, but I think when I've used it and what I hear is that that's very much what it can do for you. It can make you be present, rediscover the here and now, which too many of us don't see it.
Yeah.
And you need a way to discover it, and this is a great way. So Camp, that's the Camp brand. Green Lily is focused on females. We think it's a big missing piece of the market. Okay, I probably shouldn't even say this. Someone sent me a billboard for Invictus.
Yeah.
It says put the ass back in grass, and it had a woman with her butt hanging out. And you know what? There's a market for that, but that is so counter trend. When you consider that 58% of the consumers in California are female, you probably need to start paying attention to what's going on in the world. The last 10 years, women have been empowered. There's a shift in how they're treated. There's a level of respect that's expected and deserved, and we're going to give that to them in a retail experience that isn't being provided to them today.
Yeah.
And it's the idea of, if you will, it's Lululemon with weed. Yeah. It's basically a community. It's a place where they can talk about microdosing, spa-like experiences where you get to recover, from your busy day. And we're very excited about that brand. The reaction we're getting to this brand is huge. So initially, we might take a $30 million store in Nevada and make it a Camp store and have a Green Lily store in there, and just so that we keep the dual gender traffic flow. Yeah. Just to learn. Ultimately, like many brands, we may discover that a women's only brand can do more business than a dual gender brand, which intuitively you'd say the numbers say that can't happen. But if you just look at retail, it happens every day. Yeah. And actually that leads me to one of the ones I knew I had to ask you, because specifically when it comes to the hemp bill, we've just recently passed it through now the House, and it's looking like this will be a reality, and there's so many different things that it's going to open up. Sticking away from your CBD water for just a moment, Mary Jane, when it comes to American Eagle or Bed & Body Works,
Is there going to be synergies there when you're talking about hemp clothing or possibly CBD bombs? Is that what you're looking at right now, or are you leaving that a little bit more for the future?
I think that's on the edges, I would say. Like, look, because we have relationships with them, there's interest. We're developing some product for American Eagle. It'll probably be personal care oriented as opposed to clothing, et cetera. But I think it's very much on their radar because they're in tune with where consumers are going and what they're interested in. And obviously most consumers are interested in sustainability, other elements. Yesterday we were in a marketing meeting looking at the bags for our 7 Cents brand, which is a CBD brand that we'll be putting out in malls. We'll have hundreds of kiosks a year from now. And the discussion was like, well, do we want to be a business that believes in sustainability? You know, the beauty is we're just forming our company, so we get to make these decisions.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, well, it is important to our consumers. So the discussion was like, should the bag be made out of hemp? Then the discussion went to, how long do you think hemp takes to decompose versus recycled paper? Mm-hmm. And so you might be misguided thinking that hemp is the sustainable solution, when in fact, using recycled paper is the first good move. And the second good move is to encourage reuse of that bag. Mm-hmm. So you know, it's an interesting, you know, it's as you can see, it's a lot of fun, a lot of decisions that need to be made.
Yeah, and as this is going, I can only imagine when it comes to CBD products and how quickly you can now, once this goes through, you can go across all 52 states with it. Is that a large focus of who Green Growth Brands is going to be with the Mary Jane water and different elements that can come from that, because you can expand nationally so quickly?
Yeah, right now what we're doing is we're developing relationships with wholesalers that can get us to thousands of stores. So that'll be probably good margin, but probably the lowest margin we'll have. We're going to have hundreds of category killer CBD kiosks in malls across the United States. That'll be much better margin. Yeah. And I believe dollar for dollar, each of those channels will drive a dollar to our web store, because most personal care product, and that's where we're focusing, is it gets used up in 2 to 4 weeks, and so reorder will be on the web store, which will have the highest margin. And think about it, in the world of CBD, very few people are really going to town on topical product, on personal care product. If you go to Charlotte's Web, great business, really appreciate what they do. It's mostly tinctures and edibles, which by the way are outlawed in California. Just New York State just came out and said they're not supporting it. Oh, wow, so in a world where tinctures and edibles, which is 70%, 80% of the current CBD market, is going to be maybe illegal in many states, why wouldn't you focus on topicals? And Charlotte's Web has two SKUs of topicals. And it's a good thing, because that's not what they do. Yeah. They do what they do. What we do is we're going for Aveda and Kiehl's level quality. We're using our Procter & Gamble, our Unilever backgrounds, and our Bath & Body Works backgrounds to develop multi-fragrance personal care product that gives you the benefits of CBD. Yeah. And the response we're seeing on our initial selling is amazing. It's 3 times what we expected. Part of it is because we're pricing it at mass. Yep. We're not at $50 to $100 like everybody else who's out there.
They're expensive. I'm surprised when I went to Vegas and saw some of them.
Yeah, they're expensive. And you know what? If they want to sell a few units really expensively, that's great. We're going to sell zillions of units at a much less price. We're going to do something good for consumers. Yep. And we're excited about it, because we're actually one of the differentiators. I didn't realize this. I mean, look, if you look at Charlotte's Web and they only have 2 products, probably Lord Jones has a bunch, I would guess. We're the only one out there with multiple fragrances. And the deal is these fragrances, because we're using very pure isolate, it's tested, to make sure there's no solvents or pesticides in it, so it's pure. The result is it doesn't, typically when you look at this product, it's like, how's it smell? And it's like, oh, not bad. Yeah. Well, that's not a good answer. The answer's got to be amazing, because what you do with CBD, with any personal care product, you use testers. And people try it, they rub it on the inside of their wrist, they smell it, they make the decision to buy. It's an emotional decision. Then they get on then they notice there's this thing called CBD on the label. They get on their phones and they discover what CBD is. Yeah. I think we're going to bring lots of, we're going to bring CBD to the customers in a way because of the quality and the efficacy of the product that probably no one else can do.
Yeah, and it's a very interesting market when it comes to topicals as well, especially seeing that with CBD, it actually already has omega-3s and fatty acids,
right.
which right now a lot of these topical creams and all that actually use fish oils for.
Yep.
So you can also, another sustainable thing there is bringing that in. So no, I appreciate all the different topics and things we're able to go into. If you're looking for more, greengrowthbrands.com, trading on the CAC as GGB. I appreciate it very much. I look forward to being able to have you on the show again in 2019. We can dive more into the company and see what you were able to
check on results, huh?
Yeah, and see the progression that you've been making. So appreciate your time very much. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Perfect.
And thank you, Peter, for taking the time for that.
That was awesome.
Amazing. That interview reminded me of some, even go back to Robert Kiyosaki when he, in one of those education audiobooks I listened to, where he's talking about in this village where they're tapping into the water system, and one guy, basically to trim the fat, he figured out, well, if I sell this to the masses, came up with a system that's better, and he kicked the crap out of the other guy that was just using manual labor, right? But Lululemon for cannabis, something I took from that, took a little bit of a shot at Invictus and their advertising. I mean, listen, if anyone who watched and listened to that interview will know that these people understand brands, and like I hold it, right? I own it. Do you own it?
I own it.
Do you own it?
We all open market, no private placements beforehand.
Yeah, but we all own it, and I mean, the more I dig into this company, the more I listen to Peter, the more I was talking to their marketing team yesterday. I just love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So he just has like the same confidence that he did when we saw them at this symposium.
Right, the Canaccord thing.
Yeah, he had no problem talking about other companies and how he's going to trump them.
Well, because, and you know what, it's because like a lot of companies are getting into this space, and even though it's cannabis and it's new, when it comes to brands, they're just sticking to what they know best. Yeah. So they can be confident and they can talk about brands and talk about how it works and talk about how to get the locations and all this stuff, and just be very confident, like, yeah, we've done this, and we've done this, and we've done it, and we've done it here, and you know what I mean?
This is how we're going to do more and more and be the best.
And so really, they just like when they talk about the Camp brand, amazing. The ladies product, amazing. You know what I mean? So it seems like they have a really good footprint in this market, and it seems like they have a good feel for this market, right? So rolling out the retail side for them is like they can do that in their state.
It's like smart niches that they're following, like with the women's brand.
One of the points that was really interesting when I was talking to him was he had stated that their management team had produced around $155 million in taxes in companies that they've run during their tenures. Like that's significant. That's not revenue. That is just taxes.
Yeah.
And that's significant. So it was really interesting. And really quickly, MJ Geezer. I don't know how to properly say that, but it's okay. I don't think that's a real name. I guess not on the OTC. No, they're not on the OTC yet. They just started trading 3 weeks ago.
What?
GGB, a little bit longer than that now?
Months now. Yeah. It's been over a month.
But I don't believe they're on the OTC just yet.
I think they're in works for it, though. I've heard people talk about how they want to and that they're
So here's the thing. If Americans can't really buy this company right now, right? For me, I look at that as an advantage.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that money
it's moving today. The stock.
That money hasn't come in.
What does it hit?
It's up 11%.
Is it really?
368. Yeah. So obviously on show days I'm not as connected, but I think maybe the passing of the Farm Bill, maybe Trump signing it, something like that. Because we'll have to take a look at the other American cannabis plays, but.
Yeah, because they've got Mary Jane. It's spelt off and not actually like Mary Jane.
Yeah, the CBD water.
The CBD water. That'll be interesting. Because that'll be big.
I created that slideshow to promote today's show, and so that's why I was talking to their marketing team because they sent me all their images. Yeah. Beautiful branding, just like beautiful. You can tell that they know how to do it.
Yeah. Can you tell he's excited?
He doesn't like this company at all, right?
I love it. I love it. Because
I like it.
You've got to have companies that you can think, you know what, they're going to do something special.
Yeah.
They're going to do something differently. They're going to have a phone going in the background that I just heard. They're going to do something.
Look at that comment that just popped up.
That was hurtful, but it was true.
What was the comment?
Apparently, my head of hair looks like I'm 20, but my beard looks like I'm 60.
Best
Very
of both.
true.
He's mature young man.
Yeah. People ask me if I put touch of gray.
He's got
just for
CBD
men,
oil in
but I
that
don't.
thing.
It doesn't work. You don't need a youth serum. I just have to shave it.
We're
Yeah.
getting some flack in the Belgium group because we don't speak
Belgium?
Yeah.
Dutch.
Dutch. That's what I meant.
He's saying Belgium.
He said Belgium. I agreed with him. I mean, listen, man. Like,
I do not speak Dutch. Sorry.
There's so many cannabis companies and companies in general that list on the Frankfurt Exchange,
Yeah.
and we want
I
to
actually
get.
posted the news. I found, like, I didn't realize how many do. Right?
So
five.
really, what we want to do is we want to bring on the European companies as well. We can have another show for that, but we want to give them some exposure to
100%.
North America and vice versa. And maybe we'll jump on a plane one day and we'll go over there
Oh.
because I haven't been. Okay.
So,
Okay, what have you done?
bear with me here.
All right, what have you done?
Oh,
I'm gonna botch this. Het spijt me dat ik geen Nederlands spreek, maar bedankt of je stem. Basically, I'm trying to say, I'm sorry I don't speak Dutch, but thank you for tuning in. And I don't know how that came out whatsoever, because I've never attempted that before. But if you're watching, I tried really hard to
No,
speak
yeah.
Dutch there.
golf
Dude.
clap.
Yeah, that the power of Google.
I hope somebody comments
Yeah,
and
so
be like,
when-
you just called my country.
When there's a comment in that Facebook group, I can just hit the translate button, and it shows me it in English.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I've
love
seen
it.
that a few times.
Because we want to continue growing into other markets and into the EU, into the United States. 'Cause a lot of the stuff at first we were talking a lot about Canadian companies, but clearly there are so many different exchanges out there, so many different sectors. So tuning in next year, we're going to be going in more into technology, more into
Well,
other areas.
they love biotech,
Yeah.
right? So there's a company that we follow, Sparta Capital. Stock ticker is SAY.
SPY, isn't it?
No,
No, SAY,
Oh,
you
it is.
say.
Yeah,
SPY.
you're right.
You don't say.
That's
Sorry.
anywho. Yeah, so I think that they would love Sparta out there. Just as a little thought.
Oh.
But yeah, we want to bring those companies on here.
I have to redo it now in Flemish.
Let's go. Let's.
Thank you, Cedric. I appreciate that very much. It shows how little we know. In Belgium, they speak Flemish.
They're
I'll do that, afterwards.
in Belgium. Is it a prime minister? They had someone resign.
Really?
Yeah, that happened yesterday.
I did not see that, no.
Okay, let's troll some Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Give them a shout out.
First off, Twitter. Do you mind if we go to a different social media medium?
I don't care.
Oh, very nice. All right. So going to Twitter. I saw this was really interesting. This is from Peter Brandt. I don't know if we've got my NDI.
Hello, Peter.
Peter Brandt. It has a massive following, 234,000 people on Twitter.
Retweet him.
He does a lot of stuff here. This is it here. So basically, it's copper, and this is what we've been talking a lot about recently. Apparently, it made a very, very bearish breakout today.
Copper?
Copper did.
Really?
And that you're seeing the trend line. I believe this is around 6 months, a 6 month trend line
That
roughly.
candle's from today.
And that candle is from today.
We need Johnny Mac.
So copper has broken out of its triangle, broken out of its pattern, and
So it was
going quite
so
bearish.
you could see it was consolidating there, ready for a move one way or other, and it went bearish.
Yeah.
So how's Crown Mining doing today?
Crown Mining. What is their ticker again, if you don't mind? I'll look it up for
Crown?
Mr. Ed, Uncle Ed, Sir Ed, the Ed. I cannot remember Crown's ticker off the top of my head, though. But I can imagine that copper plays will be, that'll start going into them.
Let's have a little let's get here, bud.
What's she at? And then we'll,
Ooh, it is. Look, it's down.
Yeah.
19%.
yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, oh, CWM? I guess I did.
CWM.
CW.
Okay, so I did have it. I just couldn't recall it off the top of my head. And these are the things you got to look out for. You've got to be looking out for this
I
stuff.
like trolling these things, man. This is great. Next.
Facebook.
So copper's poo.
Copper's poo.
So this is from Stock Market Investing and Trading Group. Shout out to your group.
Can we see their
we
image?
love-
Give them some love.
Yeah, if we can go into NDI right now. Bam.
NDI.
Bam.
Come on.
There we go. Bam. It took the third
Stock
time.
Market Investing and Trading Group.
Stock Market Investing and Trading Group, they got a really nice following on there as well. And one of the things I wanted to bring up was a really simple question, actually, and I'm glad this person asked it. It was downright. That's what we get for doing this live.
Dude, just relax.
Boom. This is one that you looked at.
Yeah. See,
Run
this
for
is the
cover.
type of stuff right here, Mr. Greenspan, this is the type of sentiment fear that, you know, makes me think, I might want to put some money in the market. It does. It's everybody's just scared.
Well, like
You do
you
the
said,
contrarian
if it's
view- the contrarian
it's
view.
just when things get a little bit extreme one way or other, you usually gotta do the opposite, right?
Yeah.
So when valuations are stupid high and
just your opinion, though. Right?
all of your neighbors who don't follow the market at all are like, hey, listen, I just opened up my TFSA. You should be like, hold on a second. So, you know what I mean? Like it's not advice. I'm just saying it. Just saying.
And if people actually pay attention to that, I completely let it go. I'm never going to try to pretend like we know more than we do. We're investors just like you. We'll have good times, we'll have bad times.
Yeah.
When we heard of all of TD and Questrade and these other people struggling to get TFSAs open because everybody was going into cannabis, that was a pretty good sign. That was in, I think, January. That was making the news everywhere, that it was getting frothy.
Dude.
Oh yeah.
Listen, man, it's difficult for people to win, especially retailers, because everybody's got the herd mentality. You're doing what everyone else is doing. When really there's things that are happening, and it's like you don't fight the market, you know. So just don't be greedy, man.
Yeah.
Just be happy. If you've made money and anytime that you're uncertain and you've done your research and you're not feeling comfortable, you can always take something off the table and you can get back in when you're more confident.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And don't do the hindsight 2020 thing, oh, I could have made this. Listen, I'll be honest with people, I left a lot of money on the table in the markets. I've also made good money, right? But you can't have that poison
Yeah,
mentality.
you can't think of the what ifs. That's just going to kill you.
You made money, it's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Going from the same group, and then I'm going to get to your question, Dallas, Canada. I believe that's your first name. Might not be your last
I was
name.
hoping it was going to be Dallas
But
Green.
we're going to get to your question in a second, but just before that, what will happen in the general U.S. Markets? This is a question that was posted in this stock market investing and trading
Let's
group.
see it, yeah.
What will happen in the general U.S. markets tomorrow if the U.S. Fed decides to put off raising interest rates again?
Very good. I have some comments on this.
Yeah, go.
Of course, I can't
Nope.
predict the market.
No.
But this is interesting because maybe more than likely the market reacts okay because
Yeah.
they know, okay, they're going to back off, they're dovish, whatever. But here's the thing. Interest rates are not high if you look at over time, right? So at what point, I wonder, to the contrarian, when are people going to lose faith in the Fed? When they're like, you know what, they can't actually raise rates. The economy's booming right now. They can't raise rates because there's a lot of debt out there, and people, the market really can't support that. When do they just lose faith?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe there's like a Santa run off a dovish sentiment from the Feds, but I wonder.
Yeah. And
What do you think will happen, Brandon?
So I think it would be incredibly good for the markets if it comes out that they later today do not raise rates, because the market sentiment is that they're going to do it. One of the things about economics when it comes to, or even stock markets, when an unexpected change happens, especially with interest rates, when an unexpected change happens, that's when you get really strong movements because it goes against all of the stuff that was baked in. So if people have been baking in the fact that interest rates are going to go up, and they started selling off some of their equities, and they were going into bonds or some sort of other market to hedge that. If at that point they're like, hey, we're not raising those anymore, that's unexpected, I think people will pile back into stocks.
That's smart.
What do you
Makes
guys
sense.
think about Mr. Trump there tweeting out about how putting pressure on the Fed to not raise rates? So I
think he's
kind of
smart
think,
in that sense because he sees his economy and the markets are hurting right now.
yeah, but dude,
It might be selfish intentions, who knows?
no, but the Fed is always screaming for independence, right?
Yeah.
So when you have the president tweeting out, which he always does, about why are you guys raising rates, blah blah blah.
That's a good point, actually.
We're just speculating, right?
Oh,
but
100%.
if they're always screaming for independence, and the president who's using Twitter to move things, maybe when they're sitting and making their decisions, they're like, well, we don't want to do what you want us to do.
Yeah.
Just a thought. That would be really stupid, right? Because you got to go with the data.
Yeah,
But people make stupid decisions all the time, Brandon.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I do a couple a day. When it comes to the Fed and the Bank of Canada, I do believe they have good independence there. Smiling at something there?
GGB is at 370.
Oh, yeah.
Winning.
Yeah. when it comes to those things, though, I think they look at economic data a lot more than they look at people's opinions. They will look at sentiment for sure.
They should.
But the math that's involved in economics, I studied it. It's ridiculous. it truly, it's an absolute, you have to be a mathematician to be an economist. You're not just predicting what people are going to be buying or selling or something like that. It is a science. And I do believe that they are looking at the different, like how the market's reacting, unemployment, which is actually still at very lows right now. So that's a reason why you would want to raise
their economy is screaming right now.
Oh yeah.
Right. So I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. Plus, we've had such a long bull run. You know, it's like. But then they printed all this money and launched QE to get out of 2008. So it's like, what are you going to do with all that debt? You just keep printing. You know what I mean?
Apparently, yes.
Well, yeah, exactly. But that's why there's always this
quantitative easing at its finest.
The Peter Schiffs of the world, who look at the fundamentals and are always screaming for a huge crash, because he's right. The fundamentals support what he's saying.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if you've been listening to Peter Schiff for the last 10 years, he would have left a lot of money on the table.
Yeah.
But he will eventually be right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because, or maybe they just keep manipulating the markets with little interest rates here and there. But some people believe that we'll never see 12, 13, 15% interest rates ever again.
So. No, I don't think
so.
so.
But that's because the whole system is based off debt.
Yeah.
So if that was to happen, you would essentially flush out all of this debt.
Yeah.
There would be chaos.
Yeah, and shout out to Matt Dyke from our Follow the Money Investor Group. He's been on here talking
back?
real estate.
Where
I know, when are
Matt?
you coming back? I think I got a message from him actually. He's going to be coming back in the new year. He brought up a really good point though, that government's trying to get interest rates to 3.5% to 4.5%. And forgive us if viewers are saying, why are they talking about interest rates? Well, it's important to know about interest rates and why they're important. You want to be in a more normal stage, normal rates between 3.5% and 5%, because when the economy goes bad, you want to be able to lower rates periodically in order to stimulate the economy. You use interest rates to help you get out of recessions. And if you're too low, you fall into what's called a liquidity trap, where if you're in a liquidity trap, which Japan has been in for the last 15 years, if your rates are so low, say it's at 1% how are you going to go to 0.5%? Are you going to go negative percent?
There is negative
who
rates.
did that? Was it not France? Switzerland did that? During the financial crisis?
No, they're still in negative territory.
Are they still?
I'm pretty sure.
Well, that's basically making you want to spend money, not borrow.
That's when it costs you money to put money in your bank.
Correct, which is crazy. But really, if you look at the time value of money and what they're charging you, you are spending money to have money in your bank account. Don't just have everything in your savings account. I know that's a terrible thing, because I'm not a financial advisor. I shouldn't be saying that. But it's a losing account. It should be illegal to call it a savings account, because you're never beating inflation.
Yeah, but savers are losers now anyway.
Correct. Moving on from interest rates, except for Jordan.
That was a good segment.
Jordan goes, will rates be raised today? I think very unlikely with these bear markets. Thank you for tuning in, Jordan, and your opinion. I said I was going to go back to someone, though. Dallas.
Dallas Green.
Dallas Green,
Canada.
otherwise known as Dallas Canada, otherwise known as Dallas something, because there's a last name that's not one of those two things. Have you talked about the Farm Bill and cannabis yet? I just got here.
I think that's why GGB is up, because, again, I'm not as connected on these days.
Okay, well, where's crop at? Crop's
I don't
huge.
follow crop.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Put it up.
I'll look right now. We've got
If they're up, then.
another great comment here from Frangendez. Good advice. I need to forget about my missed opportunities, and it's so important to remember those missed opportunities, but not let them go into your mind and ruin your financial future.
Well, yeah,
for your next investments.
Yeah, don't do the hindsight
Don't live
2020.
in the-
It's
No,
poison.
it'll kill you.
It literally is poison. Like
100%.
honestly, if I told you guys how much money I've left on the table, some people would have a heart attack. At the end of the day, I made good money, so it doesn't matter. You just learn from those things. Just reflect on the why.
Yeah.
Look at the why you made that decision, or you didn't make that decision. And next time, this is going to sound really deep, but look at the emotional state that you were in when you made that decision. Were you making a decision based off being emotional? And why did you feel that way? Well, honestly, that's a big part of investing and speculating.
You basically have to have no emotions with.
Well, you got to be indifferent to money. Did you join in our watch party on Sunday, on the Anton Krell thing?
I watched a bit of it. Yeah.
Dude, the guy is amazing.
He just lives the life.
He's helped change my life. Let's keep trolling.
Yeah, let's keep moving on.
Go to another Facebook group.
I think a couple hemp companies are running. Hemp, great ticker.
Maybe they just have a good
they're
ticker.
running. It's probably very, very close. And like you were saying, when we actually get into the studio days, there's so many different
It's
things going
fun, a
on.
lot going on.
Sometimes a little bit more unplugged than
Check out our
normal.
Instagram and you can see what happens in the boardroom.
What group are we going to go to? Here, there it is. MJNA and Hemp are both running.
Thanks,
I believe those to be
Joshua.
both American plays as well. What group are we going into next?
Just pick another one.
Just pick another
Just
one.
do it random. You want to have a thumb war while we're waiting?
That's very random.
1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to get mocked for that.
I know.
Go check out our Instagram. Greg's been putting some videos up there.
So,
Trying to do this little story.
You got a group?
I think so. I was added to this group. I have not been in this group before. Best Marijuana Stocks Investors Group.
Okay.
Let's see what we've got
see
in
what their image looks like. Give them a shout out.
NDI. Boom.
NDI.
And if people haven't clued in yet, this is a very social media focused episode.
You're worried too much.
Let us know.
Let's see. That's
I
a
was
nice
trying
photo.
to get them to ask questions.
That's a nice photo. I like it. Classy. Wall Street. Boom.
Boom. There it is. And look at this. I just realized that if you scroll down, right there, boom, it's our link.
Oh yeah.
So
That's
going
pretty
through
cool.
here, what are we going to pick? What are we going to pick?
Pick something.
Seeking Alpha. A lot of these are articles. Oh, if we got my NDI up again, actually, this is you posting, Karl. That's what we were talking about earlier.
Play it.
Mary Jane.
Check it out. Play it.
I
Do it,
don't
do it,
know how this
do
is
it.
going to work, but okay.
Just do it. Oh,
Everett.
yeah, I cropped it out. You like that? Yeah. Right?
You like that?
So we're going to get better with our slideshows because we got to put text on there. And also, I didn't mean to put that picture of the beautiful lady there with just her midsection. It just it was a Victoria's Secret photo, but it cropped it.
Oh, did it?
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Should have done American Eagle jeans. Something else.
Why don't you just do it next time? You're going to tell me what to do.
And this is what I have to deal with. What else you
Oh,
got?
Fed news is out.
Oh, they raised.
Yep.
Quarter basis.
They just did it by a 0.25%, 25 basis points. And that was expected, though. That was
No.
expected. It was around
Play the
70%.
tape back. You weren't expecting that.
What do you mean?
You thought they weren't going to raise it.
No, he was
I was
hoping
quoting-
that they don't.
Oh.
And that if they didn't,
The
then
market
it would be a
sentiment
good
was that
sentiment.
they were going to raise, and if they didn't, then it was to be a shock to the market, and that would actually be really good. This isn't bad, though.
No, but
they said they were going to do this.
Spies going nuts, apparently.
Here's the thing, though. It's all about what they said. You got to listen to the minutes. Were they
Yeah.
dovish, right? Talking about 2019.
Yeah.
Are they going to back off? And the market will now bake in whatever they think is going to happen.
Yeah.
Market just freaked.
Yeah, so, oh yeah. I got my NDI up again. I'm going to say that multiple times.
What's going on with
And the Dow, S&P 500, if
Up
you
or
look
down?
at here, look at that little sharp, it's in the corner there. It just dropped. And this is why, by the way,
So they weren't then.
they
They thought they were going to just leave it then.
I think there was enough doubt out there, but the market sentiment was that they were going to do it.
Watch. Did Trump tweet out yet?
Here's the Dow. Same thing on the Dow, the exact same time. This just came out, by the way. This is at 2 o'clock, so
see what
thank you
happens.
for our viewers to bring that up right away to us. I appreciate that. NASDAQ, exact same thing. Global Dow, exact same thing. But interestingly enough, this is the Alternative Harvest ETF. I always go here when I check the market sentiment because the MJ fund, it has a lot of LPs in it for those who are following cannabis, but just in general, you can see how closely it's tied with the Dow and these other indices. So to see that sentiment and to look at that, and, you know, a lot of people, if they saw that right away, maybe they sold right away if they're traders. But yeah, market, as Karl always says, is taking a little bit of a poo right now. And the father in him who is now used to using that word because he makes sure he does not say that around the kids. Good on you, sir.
Yeah, but if the market reaction is like that, then they were totally expecting to not raise.
Yeah.
So obviously they were baking in a raise, and equities were adjusting. And the fine people in the producer room were probably hating the fact that I was leaning back like this.
Yeah.
God, get back in your chair.
Yeah. Yeah, so you know, but this is one of those things where it's important to stay connected and constantly learn because something like this can happen and then change the market drastically and rapidly.
Yeah.
Staying on top of it might help you.
Trend is your friend, Jesse.
The trend is your friend.
Let's keep trolling. Let's go to Twitter right now. Let's get some responses from Twitter on the Fed raise.
Ooh, let's see what we got here.
I like this interactive show we have going on here. No more interviewing companies.
Yeah.
Spall is fine. Oh.
Norm Kelly says, thoughts and prayers to all the students who have to write their finals. That is completely unrelated to anything that we're talking about.
Yeah, let's keep the trolling going.
Your NDI's up.
What do we got here?
Let's go. 100 days to Brexit. That's messed up. Okay, they're talking about possibly doing, I believe, a referendum of the referendum.
So they're stalling.
Your people already spoke. It'll be utter chaos if they go in. Now, for the economy, though, I think staying, like not going through with Brexit is probably better for their economy. I really do. 'Cause
the Europe's a mess right now.
I think, but that's, I'm not European, so I'm sure I'm not thinking of a lot of different avenues and things that are affecting you at home.
Yeah.
If you're viewing from there right now, but I think it's going to cause an absolute riot.
A lot more yellow
if that
vests.
happens.
You know, I just gotta say, I'm not a fan of riots because I don't like, vandalizing other people's stuff and looting and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to people standing up for what they believe in, like literally like not going to work, I love it.
Yeah. To Connor, who's in my ear, he is 1,000% a Brit. No, Connor is a Brit.
Oh.
And Connor, you're live on air, sort of. Do you want Brexit to happen? His simple answer is no, but he'll also go with whatever. So we're not just going to Facebook and social medias. We're going to the control room,
We
folks.
need a camera in
we
there.
want to hear people's
I'll go do a
opinions
live
on
in
these
there.
We
things.
should do it live. Okay, keep trolling Twitter. Let's do it.
This is the Financial Post, the official Federal Reserve hikes rate.
Next.
Read the official statement.
Can we get
Or
the
not.
NDI?
Or not.
Look at that, Tesla driving down.
This is so cool. This is the
that's
tunnel.
right. Yeah, he wants to do the tunnel.
You know what? I think a lot of people are going to be absolutely. It's so fascinating what they've been doing. This
Tesla
is.
in a tunnel, dude. That was a Tesla in a tunnel.
It's still there. Go back up. Go back up. The video's still playing. Understandable there. Copyrights.
Live show. Things happen.
Yep. When it comes to the tunnel, I think that is absolutely fascinating. That they're going underneath and boring where these cars will go on. And they won't be driving. They'll go on tracks and brought through LA, where you park somewhere, it brings you down, and just like you would hop into a bus, your car goes into this tunnel, goes through. That kind of stuff is why technology companies absolutely get all my, I love reading stuff like that.
We need to get Elon on here.
I love it. Elon, if you're listening.
Okay, let's go. Tweet.
Tweets.
Let's troll. Let's get some discussion topics.
Javante says Brexit gets a chance at a revote because the package they got was not the deal they voted on initially. So a little bit more insight into Brexit.
Thanks for the education.
No deal Brexit going it alone. Doors open for medical cannabis.
Boom.
So some of our viewers tuning in there appreciate it because that's something that's going to be very, very big, whether that goes through or not. If we go back to Twitter here, let's keep looing because this is a social media day. This is what we're doing.
Did you say keep looing?
I did.
I don't know what.
Yeah, looing. Yeah. If you can tell from my raspy voice, again, there was festivities the other night. So if I sometimes say looing instead of looking, I meant looking.
And nobody cares. Mm-hmm. So let's get some trolling, guys.
All right, what are you seeing on there? What are you seeing?
God.
Stop telling us what to do.
Fine.
This guy.
Let's go to. Why don't we go to Stock Market Hot Tips and Investment Strategies Community?
That's a long name.
That's
Okay,
a
go
long
to
name.
it. Let's do it.
Well, we need it on your computer because I don't have the NDI.
Javonte's saying, follow the money, Elon. Follow the money all the way onto our
you can
show.
come smoke dope on here. No, you'll get kicked off the board.
Yeah, don't do that, Elon.
Stock Market Hot
do
Tips
that.
and Investment.
Stock market. Going back to Facebook here, folks.
Computer's taking up so much room.
Stock market.
I got.
Oh, I've got it here actually.
Hot
How
tips.
you guys add me to this group?
Hot Tips
You're
and
welcome.
Investment Strategies.
Yeah.
Let's get a hot tip from this group.
What is here? What is here? And then we've got a small clip coming up as well. We sat down with the Metallic Group. For those who have been following us for some time, Greg Johnson and Michael Rowley have been on our Facebook group doing Q&As and different things, teaching people more about the markets. There's a really short clip we're going to play in a moment that is a prelude to a couple of videos we're going to be putting out, where they're going to go through what went on in their companies over the last year, what's going on with the markets in the gold, silver, palladium, all of those, and also what to look for in 2019. So
and they are
play that shortly
also
here,
a client.
Yes, they are, and gladly. Love talking to these guys. I learn a lot from them, actually. So going into here, Karl, what stands out to you? What stands out?
Well, let me pull it up there, Brandon. First of all, we have a picture with 3 M's and some candles.
Oh boy.
We have a top here, consolidation. Anyways.
Basically, you just saw the spy right there.
We've got some, we're in here. Do you have your NDI up?
I do, one guy here.
This is watching me watching you.
Oh, he's an Inception. Very nice.
So you'll see Greg does the news in there. What do you guys think November in $25 and I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like this one's...
Best books of investing.
Ooh.
We got a Midas Letter link. We've got some more news. Free educational trading videos, blogs, and live trading room. Bottom line is, you do need to learn.
Oh, I like this actually. Sorry for going completely off of that. I was looking at another comment here. Yes, you do need to learn. You have to. But I was surprised to see this. It's saying I work at the EU Commission, and every time I see May,
Theresa May?
Theresa May. Theresa, yes. She seems to be losing more and more sleep. They're, again, still on the Brexit here. It's just really interesting. You know, that's going to have huge implications in markets that people need to be aware of. So pay attention to that. It's important. It'll affect you one way or another.
I don't think it's. I think it's a catalyst, but it's not. Yeah.
Like that. It's just a right-wing dog whistle vote getting politics that just creates chaos.
Hit up Twitter.
Did you put that up the second I was reading that, actually? That's very interesting that they put up that quote on the screen. They must have read my mind. But yeah, it's one of those elements that you need to pay attention to, contrary to what Karl just said, because it's important.
Twitter.
It's like the Fed. Back to Twitter. You know what? Before we go to Twitter, actually, I really do want to show this clip really quickly because it's just a prelude of what we're going to be releasing. Because I know a lot of our investors are invested in both the private placement and the company in itself in either 3 of the groups in the Metallic Group. So why don't we quickly go to that right now? And Greg and Michael, the two of you obviously run separate companies, but those 2 companies are a part of 3 companies in the Metallic Group. Can you explain who the Metallic Group is and what different metals that you're exploring right now?
Yeah, the Metallic Group has come together in the last couple of years. It's really a collaboration of leading precious metal explorers, but precious and base metal explorers. It was an opportunity for a group of professionals, many of which who've been with the leading explorer, developers, producers, to come together in a couple of companies, now 3, where we had a very focused set of metals that we were going after, silver, the platinum group metals, and now copper, in opportunities where, because of this low part of the commodity price cycle, we had the opportunity to go in and consolidate some of the highest grade districts for those respective metals in the industry and put together really some deep value packages, land packages that we think have excellent opportunity for exploration, discovery, and advancement. And in the right part of the market cycle, we think these assets are really going to demonstrate significant value growth potential.
And back again. That's just a really, really quick thing we put together, very fast, just explaining who the Metallic Group is. Stay tuned for those to come out where they go into depth about their companies.
Dude, you got to give me more of a heads up when we're coming back live.
Were you picking your nose?
Totally.
It was just on me, actually.
I wasn't picking my nose, but... You're like, and we're live. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
Gotta get one of these fancy earpieces. But you know, lots of things going on. It looks like a lot of these stocks are turning red right now. They're pulling reversals. The same ones we were talking about earlier are pulling back as well. Because when you see the Dow, the S&P 500, when they start selling off like this, it's a chain reaction. Because a lot of these things are tied with algorithms.
Yeah.
So they're tied to the SPY, they're tied to the Dow, especially cannabis. We talked about it a lot. There's a lot of, not synergies, correlation between the Dow and these companies. So when you start seeing them sell off, these algos know that, that the Dow is selling off or SPY is selling off, and they start selling some shares as well. I think we're seeing that right now. A lot of things just turned
Well, that's why it's a
turned
lot
red.
easier for a stock to go down than it is to go up.
Except TRTC, TerraTech, apparently that's up 24%. I'm actually rather surprised by that. Not anything negative, just because negative news came out from them stating that there could be some fraudulent claims there. Usually that has a negative effect on there.
And
Maybe
the
this is a dead cat bounce of them ripping a little
Can
bit
we
from it.
get to some Twitter?
I'm sorry?
Let's get to some Twitter.
I was looking, didn't find anything that stood out though.
you put the hashtag in Fed rate?
No,
No,
I
he
didn't.
didn't.
I did not.
Look at him.
I was looking at stocks, how dare I? 1 second here. Did I just get the Matumbo wave at
No,
me?
you didn't.
For all of our basketball
My friend does
fans
this
out
all
there.
the time. I don't know why he does it.
It's the Matumbo wave. You ever seen that? Basketball?
Yeah, I know.
What's his
I
first
do
name,
this. He
Matumbo?
does the slow motion.
Yeah.
So
So,
shopping on Costco.
just random things here on Twitter. Don't do it. Forget the politics and do what's right for the economy and working folks. Don't raise rates today.
Dude, they
or
already
next
did.
year, the data does not support it. How foolish is it to raise two rates to have a cushion for the next recession and the process foster the next recession? Well, I don't know who that is, so I'm not going to go too much into their opinion, except I will.
Reply.
Next.
You're saying what's right for the economy. What's right for the economy is getting interest rates back up to a normal rate. It's true. Like, that's from economists. There's a difference between the markets and the economy. They do work separately.
Honestly, listen. You really have to find out what they said in the minutes today. It's all about if they're dovish or not on the 2019.
So I'm continuing on the Fed, or not?
Yeah, continue on the Fed. Is there any? Did Spatafor tweet anything out?
I do not know, actually.
Give him some love.
Give him some love.
A lot of it's just sound. We really have to go into that and see what was said, because it's like you said, the words are very important because they'll outline what next year's going to look like. So it could still have, if he's taking a more of a dovish tone into the next year, where they're supposed to raise another 3 or 4 times next year as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see that not the case. Going over to our YouTube followers here. Keep your nose clean and never. He's talking about you. Then you don't have to pick your nose on set, even though, to be honest, he wasn't picking his nose.
I wasn't picking. I would admit to it if I did.
What the hell is happening with THC Biomed? You know what? Fully aware, not fully aware actually, because you're asking that question. I was actually really bullish on THC last year.
Honestly, that was one of the ones that you told me about.
Because they had a good land package. They had their sales license coming down the road. They were going to be selling plants.
THC to go as well.
THC to go.
Yeah.
They had a lot of different things. I think that fell through actually, THC to go. They just had a lot of promise and they did not go through with it. And I think that's a good example of what's going to be happening in 2019. We're going to see a lot of people. They made a lot of promises and they said, we're going to have this facility built out. We're going to have this supply deal. I don't know if they're going to do it.
Oh yeah.
You got to watch out.
Go to this Facebook group.
Canadian marijuana stock traders.
Yeah.
We're going to keep
just
the
showing
social
you the
media
look. Yeah, I
train
wanna
going.
Just do it up.
So, Canadian. Say it again.
Canadian marijuana stock traders.
I've got it.
There was I believe there was a thread in here that I jumped in on. These guys were talking about cannabis technology. I want to pull it up because somebody gave me crap because I asked them why they liked it.
Cannabis?
Yeah, but I want to pull it up because it'd be pretty funny.
Why don't you like cannabis?
I didn't say I didn't like it. Sorry. I just asked them why they liked it. And they jumped down my throat, man. I was like, whoa. He's like, this guy's like, I'm sick of this. You got to do your own due diligence. I was like, whoa. I just asked you a question, why? Well, we got to pull it up because it's pretty good.
I do not know if I can find it here. I'm trying.
Maybe you're not in it.
And a lot of people talk about Alethea acquiring Emblem. We said that at the top of the hour.
Yeah, they love cannabis in this group. Love it.
I love that TerraTech got out ahead of the bad publicity, unlike Afria. So I believe then, thank you for the comment there, that TerraTech must have come out and got on top of this report, because again, all these things were alleged.
Yeah.
There was alleged fraud. There's no proof in there other than they're saying that they're fraudulent.
Yeah.
I can imagine that
people
they
wanting
came out.
to short the stock, buy it at a low, and then now look at it, 24% up. I would take 24% of money that I put in.
Absolutely.
Did you find the group yet?
I
found the post.
What
found
post
it.
is it?
I found it. Just so search my name.
Search Karl Boyd, no space.
Is that your actual name?
We got to pull this up. We got to get on the NDI. It's funny, man. It's funny.
So.
Or you can search his name, Dave Dinkle.
That's not fun. That's a normal name.
Very political. I like that. I like that. It's very political.
Hey, most people call me Carol my whole life.
I'm gonna
Carol?
start.
Yeah,
I'm
Carol.
gonna start.
Carol.
Makes sense. I can't find your post.
Dude,
I don't know. Do you have your NDI up? We need more NDIs.
look, search his name. Okay? Just do
One
it.
second here. Bear with us,
It's-
folks.
Oh,
We'll talk.
man, you just-
Wanna
what do you
have thumb
wanna
war?
talk about? No. Why don't you tell us about your sweater?
Dude, this is where it all started.
Yeah,
Right?
go on the
Stay
story,
focused,
actually.
find the thread. Yeah,
That's it.
this is the original logo. We had
is
the
the original. Look
emoji
at
because
that.
we were just a cool Facebook group at that time. We weren't like a company or anything.
All the flying money.
Yeah, investment. Yeah, we were the investment.
So you're
group.
like Red Bull, money gives you wings?
This didn't pass the legal team. Didn't make it.
Hence
we-
the change.
We had to change it. Mizel's saying, "What's going on, boys?"
Well,
Actually, Mizel
Nice to see you, man.
would be a good guy to ask about THC because he used to follow it. I don't know if he still does, but he was a pretty intelligent investor, and he used to follow it.
Well,
Fine.
Mazel, if you are listening, we were just talking about THC Biomed and why that has fallen off a precipitous cliff, share price wise. And Karl over here saying that you followed it very closely.
He used to. I don't know if he does now.
If you are still doing it, we'd love to see a comment in there. If you have a comment, put it on the screen. People read that screen. That's how we do. What's the ticker for NDI? Oh, we have a lot of people asking for that, actually. NDI is a program that allows us to have our screens, our computers, up on your screen so you can see. No, I would think it was a ticker as well, but I think he's joking there.
Okay, so you didn't find the comment. You didn't find this thread, did you?
No, I didn't know.
Jesus.
It's safe to buy. Is it safe to buy OTC weed stocks living in Canada? I hear they are banning people at the border. That's a really good question. Fully aware one, I should say. That is a fallacy, and I'll tell you why. Because they came out recently in the last month or so stating that if you're investing in cannabis, that you will not be turned down at the border. What they're focusing on is you cannot be going into America for cannabis reasons, whether it's investing or just you work in the industry. That's where they can turn you down, because you're basically saying, I want to go into your country where you're telling me something is federally legal to partake in your federally legal thing. So you can invest in cannabis and you can go there. Just don't ever say, why are you going to Colorado? Oh, I'm just going to go get a lot of weed. Don't say that.
So
that's where it draws the line.
we don't have the NDI, but this is the question right here. Can you guys see it? It's probably backwards. Anyways, marijuana breathalyzer. If someone wanted to invest, which company would it be? And everybody just put a ticker. Blow, 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 blow. So
Well, that's the only one that's
because
like
I've been around
around.
these Facebook groups for a long time. I watch out for certain things, right? So I didn't see anyone given like a reason why they liked this one over that one. So there was really no substance to this, right? So the guy's legit looking for guidance or looking for stuff. So I said, why would you invest in them? That was simple comment, right? And then I said, I don't see anyone explaining the why, just putting tickers out there. So then the response I got to why would you invest in them was because every police officer in North America will have them in their patrol cars. But who's going to have that? Who's going to have those contracts, right?
Yeah.
So then I said, yes. Now what company will get those contracts to sell them? And he's like, Karl Boyd, you have to do your own research for that. And I'm thinking to myself, you guys are all promoting these companies, but you don't understand, but you're not explaining why. Now, if someone said, here's a news release, this company's going to have, going to sell this many devices to the police department, that would be pretty cool, right? But nobody provided any information.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, if you're going to have these types of strong opinions, provide due diligence with why, because that's what helps a more educated investor base. Was that reading through the lines? Is that what you're saying, Karl?
Well, no, I want to get to the...
He wants to get to the good stuff, apparently.
Strabinsky's, nice to see you. You're in our cannabis chat rooms as well, so I'm seeing you pop up on the YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. How are all these Canadian executives allowed to travel freely to the United States? I actually don't have an answer for that. At the end of the day, I don't know if they are able to speak to the border and they know they're going. I'm not too sure. All I know is that the people who have had these lifelong bans, they were getting it. The last one actually was from MJ Biz conference in Vegas, where somebody told them that they were going there for a cannabis conference, specifically, and they were held in Vancouver, and then they were eventually denied entry into the United States.
Can I be honest with you? That's pretty stupid.
Yeah. To say that?
On both ends.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all out there in the media. Why would you say that?
Yeah,
I know that's the wrong thing to say, right? Because you're like, well, be honest, right? But I mean, come on.
Yeah, in this case, don't be honest, and which is a terrible thing to say. But
I got pulled over at the border. A buddy of mine, when we were younger, he had just sold his company. I don't remember what I was doing, and we were at Oktoberfest in Waterloo.
Yeah.
And we were like, hey man, let's go to Florida. And I was like, okay. So we drove to my house. I packed my bags, went to his house, packed his bags, went to the border, showed up. What are you guys doing? Going to Florida. Where are you staying? Have no fucking clue. Of course we didn't swear. How much money do you have? I had like $1,000 and he had credit cards. We got pulled over, fingerprinted, go back home. They told me to go back home. They refused entry because we didn't have all the answers. But we were just being honest. So then we went home. We were like, maybe we should jump on a plane and go to like Cuba or something. We're like, fuck it. We went to the border in Buffalo. They asked us what we were doing, and I said, we're going to Fredonia State, which is a college out there. And they're like, okay, have a good time. Went straight to Miami. Yeah. And then we went to New York, had a great fucking time. But it's just like, it is the way it is, man.
Yeah.
And of course, I have a lot of experience across the border from my trucking days.
Yeah.
And fuck, I've got some good stories on that shit.
Yeah. And there's the trucker language coming in too.
You know what's funny is
kids are not around.
You know what's
folks.
funny? This is kind of cool or stupid on my part. So remember, I had the Follow the Money banner in the back of the truck, and I would do Facebook Lives. I used to drive across the border with the banner in the back of the truck. I had the like a cannabis plant and the logo and stuff.
Oh my god! Well,
really?
Yeah, in the back of the truck, dude. So if anyone would have got in it, they would be like, pull this fucking guy.
Yeah. Search this truck and everything that's
Pull
in
over.
it. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is that just know that the border patrol do have that ability to do that to you. Don't be stupid and start saying dumb things at the border.
Probably not a good thing to mention cannabis when you're getting pulled over or you're going through customs.
Yeah.
I mean, you just shouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it if it was alcohol.
Not right now. It's still a gray area, man.
Yeah. That will change really shortly here. I'm trying to find this one on Vivo. I believe you follow Vivo a little bit.
No,
Vivo Cannabis, but they're talking about the tenders or tender in Germany. That's still ongoing, but I believe they're making a lot of progress from it. That's where several companies, Aurora, Wayland, Freya, they had gotten their licenses or were about to get their licenses in Germany, and they began preparing for that. And then they said, no, we didn't do the process properly. We need to stop this. They basically reset everything and then start a whole new tender where anyone can go in and start pleading their case. So when it comes to Vivo and that tender, I actually don't know an update on that, so forgive me. But I wanted to make sure I'll let you know that I was looking at that. And none of us are called James, although I hear he's a really good guy.
Maybe he can answer it on his show.
Yeah, we're going to call out James next on the show. So, closing remarks as we're nearing the end of our 2018.
Oh man,
it's been wild. You know, thanks for everyone for tuning in for all these different interviews we've done, all these different topics we've talked about. It's been a lot of fun. I love doing this, being able to go back and forth and just talk about our investments, what's going on in the economy.
Well, I'm super excited for what's to come for 2019. You know, we've been in the lab. We have some really cool things going on, and of course we've got our office space and lots of cool things that we can do there. And yeah, just putting a plan together to execute. And you know, one thing, put my screen down here. One thing that I know for sure is going to happen is we're going to be much more interactive with different Facebook groups and different communities, and you know, sort of amplify what we're doing right now, which is, you know, maybe not on this show, but bringing on companies that investors want to see and asking their questions. I mean, really, that's the grassroots of what we are. That's how it all
starting
started.
different things and all that, yeah. On this network. No, I love it. We did it today. I think that was a great idea because I like bringing in these other Facebook groups, Twitter, all these different elements, because this is the world that's around us. We got to pay attention to it and talk about it.
We can also definitely, you know, promote it in different groups and stuff like that, and say, hey, you know, like build sort of a segment around that group and what they want to talk about. You know what I mean? And
that'd be really
find out what shows, what companies that they're following and bring them on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And for all the people who are watching and commenting in here, one of the biggest things is that if you do have a company that you really believe in and you want to reach out to them, reach out to us. We'd love to have them on and do Q&As where you get your questions asked to these CEOs. That's been our passion since we first began, talking with the companies, giving access to these companies. That's what we're going to be striving for in 2019, which we already have this year as well, but that's going to be a huge focus of ours. So if you're out there and you have these Facebook groups or you have an investment community, questions, any of that, reach out to us. We want to be able to help everyone get as much information as possible so you can make the best financial decision for your own financial needs. There's the camera.
Don't follow other people.
Yeah.
I know.
Follow money, not people.
Yeah, one of the
Cliche.
every time, right?
It was meant for me not to say it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Moving on.
Save it for 2019.
Save it for 2019. Well, guys, thank you for all the time the two of you have put into the studio. Thank you very much, Mark and Connor in the background.
Thanks,
James,
Ed,
guys. Suzanne, Alex.
Thanks,
everyone that was here. I appreciate it very much. Fraser, we'll see everybody in 2019. Have a Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Take care.